Thank you. As I has been introduced, I am Vivek Pal. Presently, I am director in Ganga Flood Control Commission, and I am posted at Lucknow. I suppose all of you are all mostly engineers. Okay, wait. The flood issues for the preparation of DPR or any DPR, the initial work done is very important. For example, it is said recently you must have heard some saying by some army people, if you are doing hard work during peace time, you will lose very less during real war. Same is the situation with the survey and investigation also. I have been posted in I was posted in Sikkim investigation division. There were many hydropower projects, but most of the project was running behind schedule. Cost overrun was there. There was so many complications with these projects. When I discussed with the project authorities, what I concluded from my experience, it was lack of investigation during the DPR preparation. They just prepared something for the finance purpose, and they did not invest on DPR preparation or investigation or test. I personally undertook a hydropower project also, and we had so many investigation at the time of preparation of DPR only, so that because unless you know the actual things on the project, because for flood it is a relatively much easier in the sense it is not complicated as compared to this hydropower projects, because there you have a dam, HRTs, powerhouse, and so many things. But in flood also, you need to investigate as per requirement. Some projects may be very simple, some may be very complicated. So, due importance should be given to survey and investigation activities in flood DPRs also. In due course, I will explain what are the problems you may face if there is not sufficient attention is given at the DPR stage. So, as you know, although flooding is a natural phenomena, it is, but in many cases you will see that if you have undertaken some project at some point of time, some place, it is going to affect another place. I have been dealing with the mainly Ganga basin. In Ganga basin, we have observed that suppose to protect some village and all, if you are introducing some spur at one place, it is going to affect downstream on the other bank also. So you should be very careful about the selection of structure, type of structure, and its location and all this. So flood issues, sometimes it seems to be very simple, but actually it is not, depending on the river. Like in Brahmaputra also, there is lot of issues similar to Ganga basin. So for broader perspective, it should be investigated thoroughly before the taking up of the actual work. In flood scheme, there are mainly two types of projects. One is embankment, and another is anti-erosion. In anti-erosion, you don't have much option for the your exercise, because problem is it's a a specific location. But in embankment, you have long embankment, 10-20 kilometers. I'm not sure in Brahmaputra basin, I'm not very much aware. But in Ganga basin, embankments are 15-20 kilometers, some 50 kilometers. We have done project of even 100 kilometers also. Could you please tell me what is the general length of embankment in Brahmaputra basin? Somebody please. इधर एम्बैंकमेंट वगैरह का लेंथ कितना तक होता है आपका? एम्बैंकमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स तो होंगे आप लोग के, जिसको आप लोगों ने डील किया होगा. ओके ओके ओके. So in Brahmaputra basin, anybody? I mean on the main Brahmaputra. हाँ हाँ. Okay okay. Okay okay. It means length is like same like in Ganga basin. मतलब काफी लंबे लंबे होंगे this thing embankments. हाँ हाँ. Okay okay. Okay okay. Means in embankment you have long length for the investigation. But in the anti-erosion work, basically it is located at one place, like some village is in danger, so you have to work there only. So anyway, so survey and investigation means you must have overall scenario, overall picture of your work which is going to be undertaken by you. So the first the survey and investigation is the first and most critical step for the planning and design and execution of any project. So under this, you assess the flood hazard, you understand the hydrology and hydraulics of the area, and it gives you environmental and social impact. What is social and environmental impact is going to be there on the after your works. And even if during this investigation you will come to know, if you are not taking up the project, then what may be happening, like negative impacts you can say. So this work will support the further design or planning to the project. What work is to be taken up, this will be decided by the your study under survey and investigation. Under the investigation activities, what you need to do, you will be collecting the historical data, like what is the flood history, maximum flood levels, flood frequency analysis. Actually, this survey and investigation data you are going to use for the design and finalization of the type of structure you need to introduce in that particular area. If I say ki, like in anti-erosion, there are number of structures you can place there, but what type of structure will be suitable in that area, it will be decided only after the proper survey and investigation only. So under this you will be collecting the climatic data, For the during design, you will have flood modeling. For the input data of flood modeling, you need to have survey and investigation. So, objective of survey and investigation is to maximize your optimize your resources. Resource like you have money and you have time. These two are most important resource. Sometimes during in the flood cases, you have money but you don't have time, because next flood is you have to complete before the next flood. And sometimes you have time, like in case of embankment, but you may have problem of money. So it's a optimization is very important, and survey and investigation will help you to optimize all these things. So first we come to survey. We have different types of survey. I mean, under survey there are different categories of survey, like topographic survey. In this, you capture the ground elevation, you prepare a contour, you put the terrain features, and you map the flood plain, what are the drainage lines. All these are in the topographic survey. I will discuss all this in detail also, but initially I am going to just tell you what are the type of surveys. Like topographic survey, then hydrological survey. In this you collect the rainfall data, runoff, infiltration, evapotranspiration. HO data you can collect from the various agencies. Then comes hydraulic survey. In this you take the cross section of the river, drains, and all these. It's the shape, geometry, roughness, silt content, and all these things. And after that there is a geotechnical survey, land use and socio-economic survey, and bathymetric survey. In geotechnical survey, you examine the soil, subsoil, and what the flood control structures are there. In land use and socio-economic survey, actually this is the least importance is given to this thing. And sorry, in most of the survey related to flood, this is ignored. But for the planning and design of the structure, this is very important, because land use, land cover of the basin is very important, because that is the that decides the silt content of the your stream. I'll come to this thing later. Now if we discuss in detail, under topographic survey you prepare an index map. Index map may be of different scale. In one scale, like 1:2 lakh scale, you indicate the location of the location of the your work. On a smaller scale, and detailed index map may also be prepared on the larger scale, like 1:5,000, 50,000. In this you can give the control points, means which are the stretch going to affect the your work or your design. So under the topographic survey, you need to put the maximum details on the map, and after that you most importantly you have to prepare contour map. This may be done on 1:15,000 scale, or for this purpose you can prepare plane table also, if the area of a project area is not big, or for the anti-erosion this thing activities works, you can prepare plane tables also. So the detailed contour map should have the maximum details required for planning and design, because on the basis of this topographic survey you finalize the alignment of your embankment, where the drains are passing the embankment, where are the bridges, or if any road or bridge is going to cross your embankment. All these should come in the your this contour map. The contour map will show the natural slope of the uh, terrain. On the basis of that, regulators, location of regulators may be decided. Otherwise, it will cause the flooding on the countryside. So all these details should be covered in the topographic survey. In case of anti-erosion schemes, uh, we take only 1 or 2 years data, but we should try to get data of at least 5 years, because in 1 or 2 years it is very difficult to study the river and its behavior. So it is always advisable to have a longer period data. In the topographic survey, the different structures which are going to affect your project area should also be shown. Like the existing structures, they should be marked on the your map, because and both the banks should be there, because working on one bank will affect the uh, other bank also. If you are going to construct, like in you see the IS code also, it suggests between the two embankments, if it is on both sides, the minimum distance between the embankment should not be less than 3p, like in Ganga basin. In Lacey's parameters, 3p should be the minimum distance between the embankments of the both side. So if you are going to construct an embankment on one side, you must study the other side also, if there is any structure already existing, or if there is any like spur or some anti-erosion has been carried out. So all these is going to affect on the other side also. So your topographic survey map should have all these details in your map. After that, it comes hydrological survey. In hydrological survey, you need to show the river behavior, what is the nature of soil in the river bed, and for the holistic assessment of the situation, you must have qualitative and quantitative analysis of the silt of the river at the proposed site. Qualitative means what and why. If something is there, why it is there, what is the composition, and what is the detail. And quantitative means how much and how often. How much silt is coming to that area, how what is their behavior, whether on your bank it is aggradation or degradation or like that. So it should be studied in a holistic manner. The maximum velocity, what has been observed, if there nearby site of like CWC or any other department site, you can take data from there, or alternatively you can take the slope and cross section, that may be calculated also. I think all these things will be covered in your design part. And after the construction of embankment, when there is no embankment, water spread out lateral direction also. So if you are making a barrier for lateral expansion, it is going to remain in that. Whether that is sufficient or not, this should also be worked out in advance. And if there is any assumption in the analysis, that should also be given in the your report, because we have assumed this. Assumption is very important, because in most of the time at the level of survey and investigation, you have to assume many things, because it is sometimes it is not possible to like in silt analysis, you assume that silt content will be like this and that. At the planning stage you can have, or if you have some station at very far distance from that site, you can assume that we have taken from the this site. Assumption is very important. It is frequently assumed during the DPR preparation, and that should be indicated. Most importantly, the person who is going to design the various aspects, he should know what assumption has been taken. So its reference should be given there. Now in hydraulic survey, for embankments, first we come to embankment. It has long embankment like 50 kilometer, 60 kilometer, 100 kilometer. So longitudinal section is very important, because along the length of the river, it will not be a plain like thing, it will be undulated, but the top level of the embankment will be as per the slope of the river. So your top level will be gradually going down in the downstream direction, but the ground level will be undulated. Therefore, if you see, for the calculation of the quantity and then cost of the project, in embankment earthwork is the most important factor. So the accuracy of calculation of cost and quantity depends on your longitudinal survey. Like in some times you take the cross section at long distances, you prepare a cross section top level, HFL and ground level. So calculation of quantity will depend upon the number of cross section you have taken in the along the whole length of the embankment. So preferably, like cross section at every 500-meter interval is sort of optimum, because if you are taking very close like 100 meter, it will be very costly and it will not give you a optimized result. Obviously it is going to be more accurate, but it will be time taking and it will not be fulfill the criteria of optimization. If you are taking the interval like 1 kilometer or more than 1 kilometer, it will also give, but deviation will be more. So 500-meter interval may be taken for the cross section. Apart from that, in whatever construction cross section you are preparing, the HFL, LWL and all the key levels should be marked in that. And sometimes what happens, for the DPR purpose, they take the general level of the ground average, and this is average out throughout the length of the embankment कि स्टार्टिंग में ले लिया इतना है, एंड में लिया इतना है, बाकी सब जगह एवरेज कर दिया, विच इज़ नॉट द एक्चुअल केस इन द ग्राउंड. तो इससे वही होगा आपका डेविएशन, आपको जो एक्चुअल कैलकुलेशन करेंगे आप डीपीआर प्रिपरेशन के टाइम पे और फिर एग्जीक्यूशन में जाएंगे, तो मे बी ये हो कि कॉस्ट ओवररन हो गया या डेविएशन बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया, तो इस टाइप का प्रॉब्लम आ सकता है. तो इट इज़ ऑलवेज एडवाइजेबल टू हैव अ proper longitudinal section, and that should be utilized in the calculation of the quantity of the earthwork quantity and further cost of the project. And details like locations, proposed location of regulators, bridges, all these things should also be like drain crossing the embankment. This should be mentioned in the your hydraulic survey or should be indicated. In geotechnical survey and investigation, the as just I told you, the most important thing is the earthwork for the construction of embankment. So, and it would require huge amount of material. So it would be always cost effective if you are utilizing the local soil. So, because if you are carrying it from a far distance, definitely it is going to have a huge transportation cost. So, if you see IS code also says ki you can use local soil for the embankment and you can cover a 0.6 meter with good soil. Purpose is if you are making a layer, outer layer of good soil means which is which has a greater clay content. It will resist against the erosion and it will encourage the growth of weed and all. So, the obtaining the local earth also, like from the bed of the river, it should be carried out in a engineering like engineers, not कि कहीं से भी उठाया, just took it and just pour on the along the जो है length. So it should be like for this border pit, we should have a proper marking of the border pit on your map along the length of the embankment. It should be decided in advance from where the soil will be taken, how much quantity will be extracted from the bed, and because for the different section of the river, you need to have so many border pits. So IS code also gives you some criteria for the selection and this finalization of border pit. So, like we can see, border pit should be preferably located on the river side. There is a definite reason for that because river is carrying the river every year carries silt with it. So, if you are making borrow pit on the river side in a 1 or 2 season, flood season, it will be filled and over the time it will be level like. And the biggest disadvantage of taking the making the borrow pit on the countryside, once it is excavated, it will remain excavated because there is nothing to fill that. And such a ponds created in the countryside may create problem for local people also. Like in UP recently, 2-3 days back, heavy rainfall was there. In a village, they had taken soil clay from a field, and a small depression was there, and some village children was playing in that, and because they were not knowing the swimming, and 3 children drowned in that just because of ignorance and all. So likewise, if you are creating some depression and pond like thing in countryside, it may be harmful for the local people. So it is always advisable to have a border pit on the river side. If the situation is not permitting, like river is quite close to border pit, this embankment, if you don't have the sufficient quantity of material there, then only you go for the countryside. For the low embankment less than 6 meter, border area should not be selected within 25 meters. Like in any case, it should not be, it should be away from 25 kilometers. From the toe of the embankment, its minimum distance is 25 kilometer, 25 meter. And if it is more than 6 meter, you should go further away. Reason is same, because if there is any scouring or something happens, its slope should not be disturbed. To ensure the slope stability, IS code has recommended minimum 25 meter, and if it is more than 6 meter, you go away further. So once you have located some area for borrow pit for material, you may take up some preliminary investigation of the soil. Once soil is clear from your initial investigation, then you can go for the further detail of its like engineering properties of the soil, whether this will be suitable for the construction or not. So after selection of an area, after preliminary investigation, detailed investigation should be undertaken. In this, mainly engineering properties should be determined in lab. And for very important structures or the structures higher than 6 meters, further more parameters should be tested, like permeability, plastic limit, shear strength, dye density, its compaction, very important parameter, compaction test. So all these should be tested in detail, because if it is not up to the mark, that should be rejected. So in borrow area, there should be plans showing borrow areas and quantity of material for different zones of the embankment section prepared during investigation for actual construction. Because if there is any change in the this aspect, like if at the time of construction sufficient quantity is not available, you will have to borrow it from some further distance. It means your transportation cost is going to be more. Here we have a table in which distance of borrow pit, this is as per IS code. If you have keeping the borrow pit distance 25 to 50 meter, the depth of borrow pit should not be more than 1 meter. And if it is on countryside, in any case, it should not be more than 0.6 meter. Actually, these are the limitations. You can think of what is the use of planning of borrow pit. We can take out any quantity of material. No. Only you will be taking considering that quantity which is qualifying your properties. Only that should be selected, and only their quantity should be taken in your DPR. Because of all this, second thing, you have limitation also for this depth. If you have a qualified soil which is qualifying your requirement, even then quantity, there is limitation for the quantity, because you cannot excavate the depth more than as mentioned in the IS code. So second, you can say as the distance of the borrow pit is increasing, the depth allowed for the borrow pit also increasing. It is for the very same reason that your stability of the slope, that should not be in danger. Now we come to land use and socio-economic service. As I told you in initial introduction also, land use and socio-economic survey is given least importance. But actually, if you see, the land use and socioeconomic surveys gives you the actual picture of the problem. This socioeconomic survey means what is the population uh, which is being affected due to flood, what is their density, what is the other infrastructure in that area. When you decide the alignment of embankment, you know, rivers do meandering. So, due to meandering, you cannot keep the embankment straight. And second thing, some village will be very close to your river, and some may be at the sufficient distance. And every villager would like you construct a embankment in such a way that their village is safe. There may be zigzag type of alignment, but from engineering point of view, there should not be any sharp turn, or it should not come very close to a river, because if embankment is very close to river, you will have to protect it also against the because then you will be applying some stone pitching and all these things. That is going to make the project costlier. So it is the very important decision to finalize the alignment. So socio-economic survey will be very important aspect for this. During my first tenure in GFCC in 2016, when I was posted, a case came to me. There was a breach of embankment in river Ghaghra. You must have heard river Ghaghra. It has very high discharge, and there was a breach in the embankment. So there was a inquiry, sort of inquiry committee, and this was given to me from GFCC to find out what the reason for the breach and who are the engineers responsible for this, for whatever lapses. Because that project was cleared by GFCC. Its project appraisal was carried out by GFCC, and we had approved the project. So, and it was given to us कि just go and find out from being a central government organization, from a state government, they said कि आप पता लगाइए क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ, कहाँ गलत हुआ, आपने जो अप्रेजल दिया उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम था या कंस्ट्रक्शन में प्रॉब्लम था, क्या प्रॉब्लम था. When I started inquiring, I requested state government to give the all details. They submitted details. When I compared their information with our information, we found the alignment which GFCC had finalized, that was not followed by the state government. हमने उनको जो alignment दिया था, they shifted it towards the river. Just because of this reason, because there was a village and local pressure was there, then MLA, MP and all, everybody wants कि भाई public खुश रहे, because वो उनको नाराज नहीं कर सकते. नहीं तो पब्लिक बोलेगा आपने हमारे गांव को बचाया नहीं तो हम आपको वोट क्यों देंगे, like that, इस टाइप सिचुएशन. So at that, GFCC had given appraisal, clearance for that, but GFCC's finalized alignment was not followed, and it was further shifted to riverside. And obviously, if you are coming close to river, it's all the design parameters will change, because you have a cross section, reduced flow area, everything is fine. Anyway, I'm just giving you. So it is very important to finalize the alignment of the embankment. In that way, in that case, you have to see what is the size of the people living there, how many, what is the density, what are the other structures like school, hospital, or some highways going there. On the basis of that, you must decide the alignment. If it is not possible to shift the alignment away from the river, you protect it suitably with other engineering interventions like slope pitching. आप उसमें some spur and all there may be provided so that ki it remains safe. If there is some shifting of some village, you have to resettle the entire village. Unless you have proper data with you, you cannot work out what would be the cost of the shifting village. So it's a trade-off. Whether this cost is more, this means shifting the village whole or protecting your structure. So unless you have sufficient data, reliable data, you cannot decide which way we should go. So all this should be done in the investigation stage only, because once designer will design only after your finalization of alignment, and this is done during the survey and investigation stage only. During the socio-economic survey, the banks is very important. There is one bank at present, and there you nowadays you have facility for this Google Earth or satellite image. You can see what is the meandering width of the river. What happens sometimes कि some 20 years back river was flowing from this side, it shifted to other bank. Now last 10-15 years it is already there only. Here there is a big village. They say कि साहब वो तो river उधर ही रहता है, इधर नहीं आता. We are safe here. For them they are safe because they have not seen any problem in last 15-20 years. But if it is in the meandering zone, there is actual problem. We have seen in Gandak river, there coming from Nepal. It is on the UP and Bihar border. There is one Gandak high level committee. We are part of that. So every year we visit the Gandak river and see. In one village, that river was around 1.5 kilometer away. Next year, and there was a village this side. Next year, when we visited, we could not find the village. Village was gone, almost washed out in 1 year only. वो एक stream उसका कुछ जो inactive सा था, due to some reason it got activated and there was so much flow of water, it washed all the village. But that was under the mending zone. तो ये चीज़ भी देखना होगा कि गांव वालों को कई बार समझाना भी पड़ता है कि भाई अभी इट इज़ बेटर टू शिफ्ट फ्रॉम हियर. अच्छा, दूसरा ये भी होता है कि इफ़ यू सी लास्ट फ्यू ईयर्स इमेजरी और गूगल, you may get the tendency of river also. Whether it is on the one bank or other bank, or it is continuously moving the other bank, you can have idea of that. All this should be study in advance, proper study. Whatever resource you have ground situation, you have satellite imagery, you have Google Earth. There are many options you can adopt. And one more thing, the type of structure, like some highways passing through the just nearby your embankment, or some railway line or some canal. In that case, embankment should be properly protected, because in such cases the breach will cost you very hard. Because suppose some canal is going on and if there is a breach in the your embankment, it is going to affect your canal also. If the canal is also breached, there will be devastation. So, in socio-economic survey, you have to give all these points, whether there is a railway line, hospital, or school, or population, or some critical, like some religious places, very old temple and all. So, जो भी चीज़ें, all these should come in the your report. Now, what is the time for this break? No, break time. What is? I'm not. I suppose I'm within time only. Sorry, 3:30. Okay. So should I break for because? Wait. That is what I'm asking. I don't want to miss your tea break. So okay, we'll break here, and after that we have very few slides left. So we'll continue after tea break. In the meantime, अगर कुछ पूछना हो या if you have anything, or at the end only, at the end of, eh? Sorry, I couldn't. हाँ 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 नहीं, there are so many things are being used, like lidar survey, even drones are also being used, and there are so many. It depends on time and cost. हाँ so you can use it. एक्यूरेसी देखिए, डिपेंड्स ऑन इंस्ट्रूमेंट. देयर मेनी टाइप्स ऑफ इंस्ट्रूमेंट. लिडार सर्वे तो आजकल काफ़ी यूज़ कर रहे हैं. हाँ, तो यूपी में तो मोस्टली इसी से हो रहा है जो है. इधर का तो मुझे आइडिया नहीं है. वही ये रीजन मेरे लिए बहुत, मतलब इट्स वेरी न्यू फॉर मी. तो सॉरी, borrow pits. Actually, borrow pit the area from where you get material. Because in embankment, the main thing is your material. Cost of the project, there, what I have seen, there are two main thing in the cost. One is land acquisition cost, and other is the material. So, material, from where you are taking the material is the borrow pit. You identify some area from where you will take the material. You test it. If it is okay for your construction, then you identify how much quantity we can take from there. So all these area are borrow pit. So it is the pit created due to taking out the soil. So its planning and its location is very important. That is why I told you, the location of borrow pit should be fixed in advance before the construction, yeah, before the finalization of the cost of the project. Because if it is not finalized in advance, your cost may vary. Because if you think okay, उस समय देख लेंगे कहीं से सॉइल ले आएंगे, नहीं. अगर सॉइल आपका रिक्वायर्ड प्रॉपर्टीज़ का नहीं मिला एंड अगर आपको दूर से लाना पड़ा तो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट बढ़ जाएगा. बस क्वांटिटी तो उतना आपको चाहिए ना. क्वांटिटी तो यू कैन नॉट रिड्यूस, बिकॉज वो सेक्शन तो आपको अचीव करना है. तो बोरो पिट द एरिया फ्रॉम वेयर यू टेक द मटेरियल फॉर द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द एम्बैंकमेंट. ओके, ठीक है. तो ब्रेक के बाद मिलते हैं. ठीक है, ओके. तो we'll go for break. तो कितने बजे फिर होगा तो आप बताइएगा. हाँ हाँ.
सेटलमेंट बाद में करें, नेक्स्ट साल भी तो करना है।